adjustment needs to be made so that we can move in the direction of our prophetic future. And so I want to, in this installment of the series, I want to talk with you about the importance of divine directives in our lives. And this is such a heavy, heavy topic, so I'm going to try to unpackage this as succinctly and as skillfully as I can in the time that I have. And so we're talking about the path, we're talking about moving in the direction of your destiny, and we're talking about this whole concept of divine directives. When I look back over my life and my journey, it's very, very funny because anybody that knew me in the very early years of my life knows that I was very shy, timid, very reserved. I did not like to speak in front of people. I did not like, and I still don't like a lot of attention. I like to kind of just be behind the scenes and do what I do. And so as I began to come into this awareness that there was this larger, bigger, greater vision for my life, and very, very large and much larger than anything I imagined possible, you know, it was a very interesting time of discovery for me, because it's like, I'm going to do what, and I'm going to reach who, and I'm going to do this and that. So to see the evolution of this over the years has been amazing. To see me on a stage with a microphone, to see me with a podcast, any of this is quite amazing, because that just was not how I was wired, and it's just not my personality. But one of the things that I do find very fascinating, and I've talked about this in several of my books, is that people that have known me from childhood have always said that there was a gift of a communicator and the ability to communicate in a way that captured people's attention. But it's just something I never realized, understood, because, like I said, I was very shy and quiet and reserved, and I didn't like all of that attention or fanfare. So I did what I needed to do. But as far as locating, oh, this is a gift, or this is, you know, something special or important, I just never saw it that way. And so what began to happen is everybody knows that I'm a person of faith. And so as a person of faith, I began to see these visions, and these visions of massive groups of people, and not just massive groups of people, but different cultures and ethnicities and nations and regions and countries. And it just didn't make sense to me, because, like I said, it just was not quite in alignment with where I saw myself going. And more importantly, anybody that read Significance knows that my background is finance and business. And so I saw myself very involved in the world of business, probably in a corporate suite or a cubicle or Wall Street doing something in that capacity. But I never saw myself in this type of capacity. I never saw myself on a global stage. I never saw myself as an influencer. I never saw myself as a thought leader. I never saw myself as a leadership specialist, or, you know, somebody that was highly regarded for their ideas and their wisdom. That was just never part of the journey. And so as these visions begin to unfold and time began to elapse, it just began to become crystal clear to me that there was this larger, bigger, greater, grander vision for my life. And so I believe that when I'm talking about divine directives, I'm talking about those promptings, those prophetic stirrings that we feel on the inside that begin to serve as inflection points and prophetic points that are ultimately pushing us in the direction of our prophetic destiny and future. And I don't know what your journey was like or what it's like for you, but I know that there were just prophetic promptings and stirrings and nudges along the way that instructed me that this is not the route you should be taking. This is the direction you should be moving in. And what I find most fascinating is that when I tried to take all of these steps in the direction of what I thought I was going to do with my life, none of those things quite would work out the way they were supposed to. And then when I would move in the direction of the divine plan and purpose of my life, it's as if everything would come together. Relationships would come together. Networks would come together. Money would show up. Everything would begin to manifest, and it began to signal to me that I must be moving in the direction of my destiny and my future. And so what I'm talking about when I'm talking about divine directives, I'm talking about those internal compasses and guides and spiritual nudges that we begin to feel on the inside of us that are pulling us in the direction of our prophetic future. I believe that there is what I call a prophetic pull on the inside of you toward the direction of your purpose. And so all your life, whether you were aware of it or not, there are those nudges on the inside of you that are moving you in a direction of your destiny and your future. Now, we may not be paying attention to them because, like I said, there are certain things I just never paid attention to. There are certain things I just never really considered, but they've just always kind of been there. I'd say I've always been wired in that way to do them. And so there are certain things that you've just been wired to do. And so as we're talking about the path and daring to move in the direction of your destiny, I want you to become more aware and intentional about those divine directives in your life. You know, when I'm talking about divine directives, I've talked about the nudges and the promptings and the stirrings, but I don't think I've talked about this whole concept of divine appointments. I believe that in my life there has just been absolutely and unequivocally divine appointments. There are people that I'm connected to today. There are places I'm connected to and platforms that I'm connected to that there's no way I should be connected to them. And there are people from the outside that will ask me at times, how in the world did that happen? And it's just divine appointment. It's divine strategic alliances that have been formed divinely. And it really is no doing of my own. It's just a matter of me being in the right places at the right time. And so I want you to become more aware and more sensitive to those things in your life. And I want you to understand this as well. I want you to understand that there are no accidents or coincidences in life. The coincidence is not even a word that should be in your vocabulary, or luck or chance or fate. I believe that there are things that have been destined for your life, and that there is a fullness of time when you come into the prophetic fulfillment of those things. And so, you know, there are so many different seasons to life, and so many people are just unaware of the significance of different seasons and times in their lives, and taking advantage of those seasons to move you in the direction of your prophetic future. I don't want you to go through life on autopilot and not be aware that there is a larger and greater divine will and plan and purpose for your life, that you're not just here, you weren't just born, you're not just breathing God's air and taking up space on this planet, that there is a unique purpose, assignment, and destiny for your life. And so I believe when I'm talking about divine directives, I'm talking about those signposts that begin to point us in the direction of our significance. Write that down. I believe that divine directives are the signposts that begin to point us in the direction of the significance of our lives. And so I believe that what we have to do is and we're going to delve into this in another part of the series, but we have to become more aware and more sensitive of those things and those moments and opportunities as they are unfolding in our lives. And so I want you to take a moment. I want you to look back over your life and think about what divine directives, what promptings, what stirrings, what signals has life been sending you in the direction of your destiny and your future. I know that for me personally, one thing has always been apparent and true is that leadership has always been a major part of my life. And even when I was not looking for leadership, even when I was attempting to avoid leadership, leadership has always found me. Another thing that I have discovered about my life is that I'm a person that people seem to be magnetized and attracted towards. It's not even that it's something that I have to work hard at or something that I have to give a lot of effort and energy to. People have just been attracted to to my life for some reason. I believe it was for a divine purpose and reason. But those are just things. The gift